Welcome to the Birth Launch Podcast, an empowering space for expecting and new parents to hear candid conversations with experts and learn how to craft your ideal birth. Welcome back to the Birth Launch Podcast. Today we are diving into something that I think so many people do not prepare to deal with, handle, think about until they're kind of in the moment, and that is pediatric dental care. Today I have on my friend Nidhi, who is a pediatric dental resident serving at the Pediatric Dental Associates in Philadelphia. Nidhi, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Hehe. And hi, everybody.
Okay, let's get started. So I guess the very basic question is, when should we expect our baby to start to get teeth? Is there a time that's kind of too early and it's concerning? Is there a time that's too late and that's concerning?
Okay, so on average, you would expect to see teeth around the age of 6 months. But it's very important to understand that this is an average. A lot of the times, everyone has different milestones. And if your child doesn't have teeth till the age of 8 months, 1 year, sometimes even 1.5 years, there is no need to panic. The main reason being that even if you do take them to a pediatric dentist, we're not going to take x-rays that early to check if the teeth are coming in because we know that sometimes they're just delayed. Now, if it's past 2 years and we're not seeing anything, then of course we're going to do a little bit more digging to see what's going on. But majority of the times, I would say it's a range from about 6 months to about a year, year and a half at the latest.
When those first teeth do kind of pop through, what should we do? Is that the time to make an appointment with your dentist? Is that the time to start brushing and we kind of want to visit the dentist after we have a full mouth of teeth? What does that look like?
Okay, so parents ask me, when should I start brushing my teeth? The moment you have teeth, you can start brushing them. Do you need to take them that early? No, you usually want to wait until their first birthday or 6 months after their first tooth comes in. That's kind of the guidelines that the American Academy of Pediatric Dentistry gives, whichever comes first. So say they got their teeth in around 8 months, you can still take them in by their first birthday. And if you're late by a couple of months, that's okay, but we don't want to push it to like 2 or 3 years. You want to use really soft bristled finger brushes or a regular toothbrush, whatever works easier, whatever works better for you. Now, when do you introduce toothpaste? So until the age of 1, 2, or even 3, sometimes kids find it very difficult to spit. And obviously when they're 1, they're not able to. They don't even have the concept of spitting, which means whatever toothpaste you're going to give them, they're going to swallow it, which is why the amount of toothpaste you need until the age of 3 is just 1 rice grain amount of toothpaste, once in the morning, once at night. So even if they swallow it, it's completely safe. Definitely want to use a fluoride toothpaste. There's so many in the market. Doesn't matter what brand it is. I would say, there's Crest, there's Colgate, whatever works for you. You're just using a rice grain amount. It's not like you're using a significant amount of toothpaste. Once they're 3 years old, then you move it to a pea-sized amount of toothpaste.
And it sounds like there is an oppositional side to the fluoride conversation. What do those people tend to kind of believe?
So there are studies that shows fluoride to be a neurotoxin, and I am fully aware of that. Fluoride can cause fluoride toxicity. And that's when you take it in a very high amount. The way I look at it is sugar in, high doses can be toxic. It causes so many issues. Similarly, fluoride, anything in moderation can be good for you, and anything which is beyond the amount that's recommended is not good for you. So for example, you never want to leave your child unattended with even adult toothpaste around, because if they swallow a tube of toothpaste, then you want to make sure that you've called poison control, kind of like what you would do if your child swallows anything.
Sure. I mean, anything in too much, like we're all made up of 80% of water, and too much water is a problem, right? Like, so anything in too high of a dose, of course, can be an issue. And interesting to hear you say call poison control. I don't know if a lot of people would think about that because it goes in our mouth. So I don't think a lot of us probably connect it with something that might be dangerous, even in large amounts. So while we're on the topic of toothpaste, is it important to have child-safe toothpaste? It sounds like maybe it is. Is it important to have non-toxic toothpaste or the more natural toothpaste? What are we looking at for children?
Every family has different, schools of thought. Some people are vegan, some people are vegetarian, some people are very, want to use all natural ingredients. You do you. That's not my place to tell. That's not my place. I'm not a nutritionist. But
Yeah.
for me, what I'm looking for is fluoride in a toothpaste. If you have that, usually if you're going to call it a natural toothpaste, I'm not sure if it'll have fluoride in it. Um, a lot of the times parents tell me, my child hates, the taste of toothpaste so much that he just won't let me brush. Um, if you are telling me that you're not going to brush at all or just brush without the toothpaste, I'm going to say, you know what? Remove the toothpaste, then just use the toothbrush because that's much better than not brushing at all. Do what's right for you as a family. But as a pediatric dentist, what I tell you is I like to see fluoride in a toothpaste.
At what age is a child appropriate to brush their own teeth and like responsible enough to actually clean their teeth?
Kids are, even at the age of 1, sometimes they want to take the toothbrush and they say they love the toothbrush, they love brushing, and that's great. But parents need to realize that really all they're doing is just holding that toothbrush, biting on it, and some of them just love the taste of the toothpaste. So, let them start practicing. If they want to hold a toothbrush, by all means, let them do it. Let them have fun. Let them get used to the idea of a toothbrush in their mouth. But until the age of 7, even if they're brushing on their own, go in after and help them because they're not expected to have the manual dexterity or skills to do a good job until they're about 7 years old.
Interesting. That is much older than I would have suspected. Is there anything else that parents need to know other than the things that we've covered?
What is the right time to introduce flossing? And I would say when the teeth start touching together, that's when you want to floss because toothbrush doesn't get in between the teeth that are tightly contacting each other. So for most kids around the age of 3 or 4 is when their back teeth are touching tightly together. A lot of the times the front teeth don't even have contacts until their permanent teeth come in, and some kiddos have really tight contacts between their front teeth. So you kind of have to gauge when you take them to the dental visit. The dentist will talk to you about it as well. But back teeth around the age of 3 is a good time to introduce I like floss picks for kids. I just think they're easy to use. They come in cute like colors and handles, so kids think it's a fun exercise. A lot of the times parents will even use a spin brush or an electric toothbrush for kids, and that's okay. The best way to brush for your kids is the one that works for you as a parent. We have different ways to help parents brush their kids' teeth. When we have parents come into the offices, we kind of demonstrate things that work, positions that work. But you always want to come from behind. If you try to brush from the front, the child can move in either direction, and it may not be as easy. But if you come from behind, you kind of get head control. And once you have your child in a headlock, say you're sitting, kind of lock them between your feet, come from behind and then brush their teeth. That gives you a much better control. You want to reward them for good behavior, not bribe them, but reward them when they're letting you brush. And then I always tell the parents, you don't have to do it in the bathroom. Say your kid's on a high chair and you feel like you got them in a good lock. As soon as they finish their nighttime meal, go in and brush for them.
I love to hear you talk about boundaries because you guys, this is about your child's health. Like dental health impacts so much of your other health that it's really not a choice whether we take care of your teeth. You just have to teach your child that it's something that we do. Okay, I have a question about flossing. Is it the same thing as brushing where you should go back and floss for your child in around that 7 years mark? Or is this something we're really not letting them do themselves and we're kind of doing it for them until a certain point?
Yeah, I think around the age of 7 is a good mark to have. And then they've kind of gotten used to you doing it. They watch you do it and then, have them practice a little bit by themselves. The floss picks are quite easy to use. So, once they're a little older and if they want to switch to a regular floss, if that works better for them, sure. But until the age of 7, I think floss picks work great and they can definitely do it themselves too. Let them start practicing earlier on. And then once you trust that they're doing a good job, sure, let them take over.
Thank you so much for joining me. So, if anybody wanted to follow along on your Instagram journey to learn more pediatric dental things, tips, hot stuff, where can they follow along with you?
Yeah, perfect. So you can follow me at Baby Tooth Dentist. That's my Instagram page. We talk a lot about what's the right time to take them to the dentist, what happens if they fall and bump a tooth, what about use of pacifiers, thumb sucking. There's so many topics that we, talk about all the time. So you can DM me if there's anything that has been bothering your child. or that you're concerned about, or just follow along for all the tips that we share pretty much on a weekly basis.
That's where I found you, Nidhi. So I love their Instagram. I mean, please go follow them. Okay. Thank you so much for being here. This has been wonderful. You gave us so much wisdom, way more than I even knew to ask, like thoughts and questions that I had no idea were even a thing. Listeners, I hope that you are walking away feeling more confident to know what to expect when your baby starts to have teeth, know how to care for those teeth, and know the appropriate time to head to the dentist. I will see you guys next week on another episode of the Birth Lounge Podcast. Thanks for joining us. I'll see you next time on the Birth Lounge Podcast. Until then, head over to Instagram and find us at Tranquility by Hehe and give us a follow. You can also check us out at thebirthlounge.com.